in Chapter 9, we'll look at designing effectiveness-based information systems. We'll explain why documentation is important in program implementation, the ways in which computerized data can be used to measure performance, the relationship between program evaluation and data collection, how a data collection system can be designed to ensure that necessary information will be provided to stakeholders. And so again, we'll look at how we can actually design a data collection system for the specific program being designed and implemented. So some of the documentation practices in human services. Organizing program data elements into systems that provides information on the effectiveness of services at the client level and at program level. Sophisticated systems include dashboards, metrics used to track and analyze organizational activity while in process to make corrections if not on target, scorecards, metrics monitored to determine long-range performance in relation to goals and objectives. Scorecards make use of the dashboard data. Each system component, input, throughput, output, and outcome, has implications for data collection. You need to clearly understand the purpose of the system. Address evaluation function, so this could be outcome or performance measurement data needs. Address compatibility of evaluation data with the original problem analysis. Need to understand how inputs, throughputs, outputs, and outcomes interact to solve client and community problems. So how do all these things relate to one another, and how do they kind of work together in unison to solve these issues in society? Designing and implementing a system includes 5 steps. Considering the evaluation context of data collection and aggregation, identifying the programmatic questions to be answered, identifying the data elements needed, developing a strategy for analysis, and preparing a format for periodic reports. Well-planned evaluations begin very early in the program planning process. Evaluation strategy should be able to assess the success of programs in meeting stated objectives and identify potential areas for program improvement. There are 2 categories of evaluation mentioned here, formative and summative evaluation. Formative evaluation determines if the program is being implemented according to program design and if the design needs to be modified. Formative evaluation also focuses on process objectives. Summative evaluation determines if the program accomplished what was intended, and it focuses on outcome objectives. Different types of evaluation provide different information about program functioning. An evaluation of effort might answer how much and what types of services are being provided to whom. An evaluation of efficiency looks at the cost of providing a unit of service. An evaluation of outcome, are program outcome objectives met? Evaluation of cost effectiveness, cost per successful outcome, that should be on the next line, I apologize. The evaluation of impact, are needs of the community met by the program. So again, depending on what type of evaluation we're considering, we may yield very different information, and we may require very different types of data collection, observations, etc. So looking here, the fit of 5 types of evaluation with phases of the logic model. So you notice effort evaluation goes along with inputs and process. Efficiency evaluation we see as relating to the outputs. Outcomes, we notice an outcome and cost effectiveness evaluation. And then as we get to the impact evaluation, that relates to impact, right? Identifying the programmatic questions to be answered. This is our step 2. We revisit the problem analysis and the working intervention hypothesis. We re-examine the reasons for developing the program in the first place and ensure that it's on track to address the problems it intended to alleviate or resolve. And we identify questions related to input, throughput, output, and outcome. Step 3, we identify the data elements, information about client services and performance that present a profile of the program, client population being served, services being provided, and results being achieved. Data elements should be organized according to program. So inputs, client demographics, social history, problem strength profile, material resources, facilities, equipment, staff characteristics. Throughputs, service tasks, and method of intervention. Outputs, the units of services, intermediate outputs provided, and service completions, also known as the final outputs. And then with our outcomes, changes at the point of service completion, intermediate outcomes, and changes in the designated point of follow-up, final outcome. So again, we notice the fit of information system data elements to phases of the logic model in figure 9.3. The inputs, we have our client data, material resources, facilities, equipment, staff characteristics. Process, we have the service tasks and the method of intervention. Outputs, we have the units of service provided and service completions. Outcomes, the documented change at service completion and the documented change at follow-up. And then finally with impact, the documented changes based on community-wide data at follow-up. So step 4, we develop a strategy for analysis, maintain a focus on program hypothesis as the overall framework. We don't want to lose sight of the intentions that we have. Structure data collection around program objectives. Preparing tables, we display columns and rows used as basic documents in compiling information. Tables used for data analysis take the data collected and performance measurement system to the next level of data aggregation. And then creating tables should be an inclusive process engaging key stakeholders. Step 5, prepare format for monthly reports. 5 guiding principles in collecting performance information that may be useful in tracking program progress. Focus on outcomes. Indicators should reflect whether service objectives are met. Comprehensiveness. Performance should be assessed against important objectives. Comparability. Data should be comparable or comparable across jurisdictions. Progressive data availability. Report data on those jurisdictions that have data as progress can vary. And then timeliness, data should be as recent as possible to retain relevance for decision makers. Also in step 5, when we're preparing a format for monthly reports, data displays can include cross-sectional analysis, time series comparisons, and comparisons with other data units, also known as benchmarking. Best practices for report design: provide standards for comparison. Keep it simple, do not provide too much information. Illustrate with charts and graphs, so something that is visually engaging and appealing. Include simple, non-technical language and labels on graphs and charts, and present data aggregation at a level that matches recipients' place in the organization.